What's up? It's Chasing Points, episode 81. It's December 21st, 2022. I'm Sam.
And I'm goddamn Brandon. Hello.
Hello. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, Brandon.
Yes.
What's up, man?
Shout outs to my some of my favorite Jewish people. Some very close, near and dear, some that I don't know. Shout out to y'all. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. Hopefully there's a white Christmas for once, even though I hate snow. Happy Kwanzaa. All that good stuff. Feliz Navidad, same thing, just you got to hit all markers here,
Got to get into the spirit, man.
Got to get all of them.
Shout out to you and our a good friend Harrison for holding it down last week while I was out for the count. So appreciate that, my friend.
He's got his voice back.
I'm back. No, dude, seriously, I could not speak. I know we did not physically speak to each other, but I
was thankful. Words were hard.
Voice.
I was very thankful I didn't get to hear your voice. I was praying it was going to be another week.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, I texted you yesterday. We good for today? That's what. All right, listeners. A really weird exchange happened yesterday. It still bothers me. I text this idiot that I'm staring at through this Zoom call. I text him maybe like 11 a.m. yesterday. And I'm like, yo, we good for tomorrow? And he's like, yes, question mark. Like, why wouldn't we be? I don't know. It's like a couple days before Christmas. We got a lot going on. We got family obligations, significant
podcast comes first.
Always, man. But I was saying to my wife last week, before I told you that I had to tap out, I'm like, I can't even like listen to myself right now. I don't know why any listener, especially Brandon, would want to listen to me.
Oh, that would have been great. That would have been great content. You should have brought your ass on here, and I would have definitely made fun of you the whole podcast, and it would have just added to it, and people probably would have had a lot of replay value. Like, why is Brandon going at Sam like this? And I'd be like, I don't know. It was just fun. He can take it.
I was thinking of just silently being on the recording and not saying anything, just intimidate you by just staring at you the whole time.
Okay, Harpo.
But I've thought of better ways to spend my 2 hours on Tuesday. But nonetheless, speaking of better ways, dude, I know I say this like when we talk about the NFL every week, but like this had to be like the wildest NFL week of the season. All these come from behind wins, these game-winning drives, just ridiculous coaching decisions being made on Saturday, Sunday. Great game on Thursday night where the Niners won the NFC West. I mean, it was a great couple days of football. We're certainly going to break that down, winners and losers. We got our picks. Brandon's got his power rankings. We're going to dive into the NBA.
Changes in the power rankings.
Big changes. A lot going on right now. So let's just dive into it, man. Winners and losers. Brandon, as always, you go first.
Woo! Okay. Well, the first winner is, as you mentioned them just a second ago, is the Niners. I didn't watch the game. I didn't need to watch the game. I really haven't been invested in other teams except for teams that affect my team's trajectory, and the Niners really don't. So I do want to see what they're doing because it's somebody that my team is eventually going to have to play. But I did not watch this game. But the Niners keep winning, and I wanted to give them a huge shout out because it's a plug and play offense, and their defense is absolutely ridiculous. And it's hard. It's going to be hard to see teams beat them with that stout defense. It's going to be hard for teams to pass up on D'Amico Ryans next year for a head coach. Love D'Amico Ryans, former Eagle as well. But did most of his work when he was with the Texans. Absolute problem there. It was him, JJ Watt, which is JJ Watt, and I forgot who the other one is. Brian Cushing was the other.
Cushing was on that team.
Yeah. So was a stout, somewhat defense. It's crazy to think of that team that the Texans had at that time. But yeah, I just love what the Niners are doing right now. I love good defensive play. And they're peaking right now, and it doesn't matter again who their quarterback is. Sam and I can essentially be their quarterback, which would probably lose them multiple games. But I'm gonna throw at least one touchdown. I'll tell you that much. But
You
yeah,
think you could
Niners.
throw? You think you could throw an NFL touchdown
I do.
if you played on the 49ers right now
Mm-hmm. I do.
against the worst defense in the league? You think you could throw a touchdown?
Absolutely.
I love your confidence, dude. I do
It's
not.
not going to waver. I have the utmost confidence in myself.
Throwing a touchdown. Now, I know you could run for a touchdown.
Yeah, I didn't
I've
say
seen your.
you.
I know you
First
could do
off,
that.
first
I
off,
said
you
throw
see,
for a touchdown.
exactly. But see, this is where my brain in my superiority comes in. You said throw a touchdown. I could get all the way down to the 1 yard line and throw a touchdown. I could throw a touchdown. I didn't. You didn't say I had to throw the length of the field or anything like that. I can.
No, I mean like you're. I'd
I can
even
get
give
there.
you like the 10-yard line, like in a
Nickel and
goal.
dime, Sam.
Yeah.
Nickel and dime. I can do it. My
I
arm's strong enough to do that. But if you're asking me to throw more than 40 yards,
like
it's not
West
happening.
Coast offense, like dink and dunk it down to the.
We can
Yeah.
run a little play
I'm
action.
not
I can
saying you
run.
have to drive the field. I'm just saying like I'll give you the
No,
red
I want
zone.
to drive the field. I want that challenge. I want it all, Sam.
Jeez.
Confidence.
You got to call up our boy Mike Robb and start see if you got some eligibility to go back to the.
I don't need to
That
go
could be-
there. I just have to go and train for the off season and then try to go try out some camp and then see what happens from there. Should be good. We'll see.
I would pay your expenses if you just went. I know there. I remember like episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they go and try out for the Eagles. Like
Mhm.
I would go with you to watch you try out for the Eagles. I would do it. I would hire a film crew. It would be a thing. I would totally be behind this.
Don't challenge me with this because I will legit do it. Don't challenge me with this.
All right, to be continued. 2023 is going to be our year, man. Anyway, the Niners, yeah, dude, they're really good. I know it looks like they made a big jump in your power rankings too. They were 6th last week. Yeah, they're really good. Kyle Shanahan's the man. You already mentioned the defensive scheme that they've had. I mean, and the coaches they've produced on both sides of the ball, and they don't seem to waver at all. And now they're on their third string quarterback, who was literally the last pick in the draft. And they're winning football games. They're winning big football games. Like, they needed to win that game to kind of push Seattle away. And they're doing it. So like kudos to the Niners, man. I'm totally in on watching them. They're a fun team to watch. And even without Debo, they're still just, a problem.
Well, go to your next team or go to your next winner because you definitely text me about this team and say that they absolutely suck. So I just want you to eat crow here, even though I agree with you because I'm gonna eat crow with you. So
yeah, I know this. I knew this was coming. So we're watching separately, but watching the Thursday afternoon or Saturday afternoon game.
Technically you were watching it. I was not available at that time, but yes, you were watching.
So when I texted you around 2:30 when the Vikings were down like 30-0, and I was like, the Vikings suck. You weren't watching?
Okay, no, I wasn't watching. I could see the highlights on my phone, and I kept looking at it, and I was seeing all the Bleacher Report pop-ups, the alerts, and telling me of how they're getting absolutely smacked. So I kept watching, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know what happens. But I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it was 33-0 going into the third quarter, and then the Vikings went on a 39-3 run. It was insane. I didn't even see the end of it because I had planned Saturday night, and I'm in a group text, and they're like, what's going on? And then I'm like tuning in on my phone, and it's like just wild. Like the Jeff Saturday led Colts, I really thought were going to take at one point. The 4 now 9-1 Colts were playing the 10-3 Vikings, and I really thought that they were just the Vikings just looked flat, defeated, get us home, don't want anything to do with this. And then 39 unanswered points went into overtime, or 36 unanswered points there, I guess. But just wild game, man. It was to see that turnaround is the biggest upset in NFL history, and now you have Matty Ice, who's responsible or on the field for both the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history and the biggest comeback in regular season history, and just not what you want out of your quarterback, and not what you want for your legacy, Matty Ice. So yeah,
Melted Ice. Get his goddamn name right. Melted
is
Ice.
that it? That's
Melted
it.
Ice.
Well, I'll just spoiler alert.
Hmm.
Colts are my loser, but Vikings, man, they're really good at football. They just beat you a lot of different ways. Hawkinson and obviously Justin Jefferson is making a run at MVP.
Well,
And you know,
The Hawkinson pickup is super underrated because it
yeah.
was really low key. It happened. It was there. It wasn't really talked about. That was a phenomenal pickup by them. So look at the Lions. I mean, the Lions are still doing well without him right now. But yeah, you get one of the better tight ends in the league, and you add it to an already solid offense that allows you to have another weapon outside of Justin Jefferson.
Oh, totally. And then we didn't even mention Dalvin Cook. I mean,
Of course.
this team's really good, and you know, I did not believe in them in the preseason. I've come around. You've heard it over the last couple weeks, but yeah, did not think they were going to win that game, and they did. So you got to win these kind of games. I mean, not to this extent. That this is nuts, but you know, kudos to rookie head coach Kevin O'Connell, because that's a big win for your resume for sure.
Speaking of rookies, not really. This is his second year, right? Justin Fields, second year.
Yes, sir.
So this young man is my winner. Now they lost against my Birds, but that was of no fault really of his. Outside of the fact of getting sacked, which still I don't believe is his fault. I mean, you can only do so much, but this man had, which would have been one of the greatest touchdowns I've ever seen in my whole entire life, called back because, well, not called back. It was called out of bounds as he stepped out. But the way that he made the Eagles defense look on that play, they looked like a peewee football team, and they could not catch him. They had him dead to rights in the backfield for a loss. He broke that and damn near scored a touchdown. I'm sure, and my nephew, I spoke to him about it. He's a Bears fan. One of my coworkers, shout out to you, Jack. Love you, guy. He was texting me. He texted me. He said, "Oh, look out!" He was like, "We're up 3-0 because he's gone through the trials and tribulations as a Bear fan." But we spoke after the game, and he said, "I really hope that our front office follows the blueprint of what the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts." And he said, because I think we absolutely have something. And I said, I don't think you have something. I know you have something because of what Justin Fields can do. And he's just getting more and more comfortable, and he's seeing, and now he's playing to NFL speed. And what I mean by that is he's playing faster than NFL speed because of what he's doing. They just need to get him some weapons. And if they put some weapons around him and they get him a veteran wide receiver, and over the offseason, he really hunkers down on improving like Jalen did, I don't think this young man is going to be stoppable. And that is scary. And I remember you and I were talking earlier in a season. I said I would love to see the battle of the ones. And then I later looked at the Eagles schedule and I saw that they were playing each other. And I was like, this is a preview of the future right here between those two. And it was between those two, really. Obviously, it's a team game, but man, he's a talent.
To bring up your Eagles right now. I mean, big news coming out of Philadelphia yesterday, where Jalen Hurts has a sprained shoulder, and of course Nick Sirianni is not committing to either playing him or not on Saturday. But biggest game of the season for you guys on Saturday against the Cowboys. Are you home for that? I don't.
I will be home.
You will be home,
but the Eagles
they're
will
in
not be
Dallas.
home.
Yeah, they're in
They
Dallas.
will be in Dallas. I was supposed to go to this game, and Jalen has already flat out said that he'll be ready to play. And Nick Sirianni today said, "I have no doubt with Jalen's work ethic and how he's built better than me and all of us in here, what he was saying to the media, that Jalen is going to do everything in his power to play. This game is not that big of a game to us anymore. And the reason why it's not that big of a game to us anymore is because of what the Cowboys did, which was lose to the Jaguars. If they would have won that game, this would be a way bigger game, way bigger, especially if Jalen couldn't go. And then if the Cowboys were to win this game, they would have a chance of taking over the NFC East. But being that they lost to the Jags, the Eagles literally need to win one game to secure the number one spot and the first round bye. So they just need to win one game. That's it. They don't really, it doesn't need to be against Cowboys. They have the Giants one more game, and I forgot who the other team is that they play. But they just need one more game. So I'm not really concerned, and I will tell you why later when we get into our picks too.
All right. Well, if you're not concerned, I'm still going to be concerned because Jalen Hurts is really good, and he definitely makes that team better. But you know, I've always liked Gardner Minshew. He can complete passes at the professional level.
He can,
and you know, looks like, you know, with that receiving core and what your team has on offense, may not skip too many beats without Jalen in the lineup this week, but. My next winner is the Lions. I know just mentioned them, but just quickly, they beat the Jets on Sunday. The Jets kind of beat themselves at the end of that game. I will certainly get to that, but this team started like 1-6 or something like that, and they've just knocked off 6 straight wins. We were talking about Dan Campbell losing his job potentially a couple weeks ago or before this run. And, you know, they're just playing well. Jared Goff is looking like, you know, a above average NFL quarterback, you know, driving the field, making passes.
He's a sham. Jared Goff is a sham. He does this quite frequently. He shows flashes of him being good.
Sure.
But he's a sham. I never will ever believe in him. But you can continue. I just have to let you know he's a sham.
Well, that's fine. I'm just, you know, I guess consistency is, you know, he's consistently inconsistent.
That's fair.
But with, you know, with some consistency, he, you know, probably would have been worthy of that first overall pick. But just on, you know, on Sunday, 250 yards, a touchdown. You know, Jamal Williams saw the end zone. They had their way with this defense at times, but just some poor play calling on the Jets side and some bad decisions at the end there kind of cost them that game. But this is a big game for the Lions. They're in the playoff hunt, dude.
Yes, they are.
It's wild to think that, but I have to certainly you have to feel good about the Lions, a team that we've liked for a couple of years now, and you know, they're certainly progressing and showing that they're going to be around in the NFC for a while, just like this next team that you have. We're right there with this team, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, the Jags. They've shown they are the true roller coaster team of the year for me, because they have and shown flashes at the beginning of the season of what they could be and what we thought that they could be now that they have an adult in the room with Coach Dougie P. But now we've seen them take a huge dip and are starting to make a huge rise again. They had a phenomenal win against the Cowboys, and it was not a fluke. The Cowboys defense has been playing pretty terribly, and that's because they're missing some major defensive players, if we're going to be fair here. But you still play what you play with, and you don't make excuses. They're all in the NFL. They're all capable of doing what they have to do, and the Cowboys could have won this game. But the likes of Micah Parsons looking so far ahead as to the Eagles and talking about Jalen Hurts might have seemed like they just overlooked the Jags as if they had it in the bag. Well, if that was the case, they had it absolutely wrong. I'm trying to remember what's the gentleman's name that absolutely went off, that had 18 tackles, 2 picks, 1 for a pick 6 to close out the game. I'm trying to remember his name on the Jags, the corner. Damn it. You know his name, Sam? Anyway, I'll have you look it up while we're doing it. But Trevor Lawrence is seemingly coming into his own at this point in time. And I absolutely love what has been going on there. ETN, I wish he would be more consistent, especially for fantasy purposes. But ETN has been going off as of late. The corner I'm talking about was Rashawn Jenkins, which I absolutely nuts what he did in that game. But then you also had
from a defensive back is nuts.
What happened?
18 tackles from a defensive back is nuts.
It says so much. It really, really says so much. And I'm very, very proud of this team, especially Zay Jones, who went off in that game as well too. They get 3 touchdowns. This team is shaping up to be the next young team of the future. So Duval, for real.
That's a good one. I like what you did there.
Thank you.
After going scoreless in the first 4 drives, the Cincinnati Bengals scored on 6 of 7 possessions before ending the game with a pair of kneel downs. They were 17-3, losing to the Bucks at half and ended up winning 34-6. They went on a 34-3 run. The Cincinnati Bengals team, the Cincinnati Bengals are my last winner of the week. They're really good. Again, a team that I just mentioned started off really flat, didn't get down. Joe Burrow is like Mr. Cool. It's just like nothing seems to rattle this dude. And you have a Hall of Famer, you have the best quarterback of all time on the other sideline, who we've seen this year a couple times. You give him a handful of seconds and he'll win you any game. But Joe Burrow's just different. He's that dude, and he just led a team to a huge comeback. I mean, just week 17 in general was just absolutely wild. As I mentioned at the top with comebacks, the Vikings had the biggest comeback ever. The Bills had a walk-off field goal. The Jags had that pick 6 in overtime to win. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs had a walk-off touchdown in overtime. The Chargers had a huge 40-second clutch drive to win a game, and we'll get to the whatever the hell the Raiders, whatever that was called, the Raiders Patriot game. It was a fun week. This was part of it. We get to see Joe Burrow against the Patriots in Foxborough on Christmas Eve. That's gonna be fun. So just I like this Bengals team. I was on that bandwagon early last year, and I'm still on it now. There's room, guys. This team's really good, and we'll definitely be seeing them in the playoffs for sure. So they're my last winner of the week.
All right, so just jump right into your first loser of this week.
I have to look because I forgot who. Oh, it's the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
What they we could get into a lot of things in this game. Belichick versus his former disciple and Josh McDaniels. You could get into the quarterback play, a lot of different things, but like what this is, the seconds to end the game and you're returning a kick, and Jacoby Myers, wide receiver, who I think played some quarterback, he got this lateral from Ramondre Stevenson, and I guess he just panicked and he was like trying to, he said as much like, I'm trying to do too much, and then threw this crazy pass like across the field and ended up getting picked off by Chandler Jones, the former Patriot. And then Chandler just trucks Mac Jones got his way to the game-winning, touchdown there,
Mhm.
pick six, kick back, whatever it was. But Bill Belichick came up as a special teams coordinator. Special teams has always been a way that they have stolen games and have won games, and they've always just been a mentally sound team, at least during the Brady era. And you're seeing a lot of instances of that just completely slipping away. And again, Jacoby, I understand. I can understand if Jacoby Myers wasn't expecting to get that lateral. So it's like, okay, we're gonna, not just end the clock and go into overtime. Let's try to do something here. But I could not. I would love to be in that locker room after that game to, if Bill even said anything to him, because it really cost them. That was a huge game for them. Probably cost them playoff seeding if they, by some chance if they're can make the playoffs here. Just boneheaded play. Just need to run out the clock there and save it for another quarter here, and just a big loss for the Patriots against the Raiders in Vegas on Sunday.
Uh Loser for me is Big Bill. Um, I have to say, since Tom has left, to me, it's left Bill looking lackluster. And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, prior to Bill Belichick having Tom, Bill really wasn't the most successful coach that we see now. He's risen to this stratosphere with Tom and the teams that they had in New England. Can we say that's fair, Sam?
Sure. Yeah. I I don't. Are you going with the Bill needs Tom more than Tom needs
Nope.
Bill?
Nope.
Okay,
I'm not even
because
going that
that
route.
I don't like that take.
No,
But go ahead.
that's not my take. I don't feed into that BS.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is Bill with Tom was not able to draft and put people around to create a better team. And Bill without Tom still has not been able to draft and create and put more players around in certain spots that they need to elevate. He's always been able to create a somewhat phenomenal defense, but the offense under Bill Belichick has always been not the greatest outside of Tom. And this is not, again, to Sam's point, it's not about Bill, Tom, nothing like that. I watched their drafting when Tom was there. I watched their drafting when Tom has not been there. And offensively, they don't get anybody worth a lick outside of a Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. Outside of that, I can't really tell you who they've drafted offensively that stands out to me. Those are the only two players that I can think of in the time of Bill being there that they've drafted that stands out. And I also have seen a lot of terrible things happen under Bill's tenure, and it's more exposed now than ever. I don't really know what goes from there, and I know he's already solidified and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame for all that they have won. But I think this current version of Bill, I don't think it bodes well for his I guess you can say his resume. I just don't like what has been going on with his teams and how his teams have been ran. I mean, we had the whole controversy throughout the offseason of who was going to be the damn offensive coordinator, and it's two people that are former head coaches that didn't do so great themselves. The decision making and placement of people, I think, is super questionable, is what I'm ultimately saying, Sam.
I think you have like, it's just as far as the offensive coordinator thing, it's been really weird. I remember a couple years ago the Eagles had that defensive coordinator, forgot his name, and then he was the offensive coordinator for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like I can understand the thought process of like, I'm a really good defensive coordinator. Maybe I could call plays. Maybe this could work. I understand defense very well. I Matt Patricia knows defense very well. We'd
Yes,
assume
that's for
he's been
sure.
running he was running Belichick's defense for years.
Hmm.
But I think there's a sense of like nepotism in the Patriots. And I'm not talking necessarily about Steve Belichick, who's, the maybe the defensive coordinator for the Patriots now.
Hmm.
But it's like bringing back these guys like your people, like they're your people. We're not going to entertain anything else. Institutional knowledge is a really important thing. Matt Patricia knows the ins and outs of Foxborough. Josh McDaniels came back. Joe Judge has now come back. These guys know how the you know how it's made, how what they do in New England. They
Hmm.
know Bill Belichick. They can step into roles and win and do things allegedly. But
Yeah.
like when there's just so much of like, okay, well, maybe Joe Judge will be our offensive coordinator. Wait, what? The special teams guy who couldn't, coach his way out of a paper bag in New York,
Yeah.
or Matt Patricia, who was instantly hated in Detroit, and it took him a number of years to even just get fired, but nobody liked him. And it's just kind of like, yeah, all right, so now these guys with no offensive play calling experience are going to get behind a clipboard and run an offense with a sophomore quarterback. It's always kind of been the passing game has always been in New England an issue, at least weapon wise, right? Like
Hmm.
Bill's never been able to draft a wide receiver.
Nope.
Line's always been solid. Even they drafted this kid Strange out of I forgot where he went to school, but they drafted him so early. Like he's been pretty good. Like the line's okay. The running game's always been solid when the running backs are healthy. But it's these wide receivers, like who's Mac throwing to? And is Mac even the answer here? I mean, there was a offensive lineman today liked a post talking about the Patriots should bring back Tom or Jimmy G, and now he's getting flack for liking it when his quarterback's Mac Jones. It just seems like there's a lot of dysfunction there, and a lot more things have kind of leaked out than normal. But I don't know if you can really name a star quarterback, star player who's done it without a big head coach. They kind of go hand in hand, or they become stars, they become big head coaches. Maybe LeBron. LeBron's never really had there was Phil Jackson with Mike and Kobe, and Shula and all these, big head coaches, and maybe you could say LeBron, like who's the best coach he's ever had, Ty Lue, so like maybe that, but it I think the two of them needed each other, but you know, um, Bill certainly needs Tom a little more. That's the end of my not well thought out rambling, so I apologize, but
Yeah, do better, Sam. I'm just joking. You know who needs to do better? Who your
me,
next loser is, because it's both of our next losers. So go ahead, lead us in, Sam.
it's the Indianapolis Colts for the aforementioned blowing a 36-point lead or
Yeah.
whatever it was. Uh, you can't do that. You can't do that on national television. Uh, it's I don't know if this is even like a Jeff Saturday thing. Like, would a more experienced head coach be able to like pick that team up? Going into halftime, there was no real sense that the Vikings were even in this game.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't really see the end of it, so I don't really know how a lot of this transpired. But I will just say that like that it's just bad look. Like I think it was Bill Simmons or somebody tweeted like the biggest winner in the Colts is ESPN for being able to get Jeff Saturday back in 4 weeks or something along those lines. Like it was a rough game. I don't know how Jeff Saturday could come back and coach his team after something like that. Uh, but then again, I couldn't see him getting hired in the first place. So I guess we will see with that one. But Colts are a big loser for both of us. Give me your 2 cents there, Brandon.
Melted ice sucks. That's Matt Ryan for you guys. And the nickname that he has is Matty Ice. Melted ice sucks. He is not the guy that was once throwing the ball to Julio. Oh, that's right. He is, because they were the team that went to the Super Bowl and had the largest comeback against them in Super Bowl history. So yeah, no, he's still that same guy. When he was playing at MVP level, they allowed all these points to come back and just choke and not put any points on the board. Period. Uh, Matt Ryan, you did your thing earlier in your career. I'm pretty sure Sam and I will probably say that you will probably be a Hall of Famer. Um, but you need to hang it up. You don't have it anymore, my guy.
I don't think Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer.
You don't? Okay.
I I wouldn't want Matt Ryan to be a Hall of Famer. Will
I
he
mean,
be?
I
I
don't
don't know.
want him, but do you think he'll be a Hall of Famer?
It's you get so many people with like the Eli Manning slander of like, well, he was just he got lucky and won two Super Bowls and like he had I think he's like eighth all time in passing stat yards or something like that, but doesn't jump off the page. But if Eli Manning can't, if people are saying this stuff about Eli Manning, who again took not great giant teams that just got hot at the right time, the two Super Bowls. Oh yeah, and beat the Patriots, including an undefeated season. If
Yeah.
Eli is not getting in, I don't, this threshold has to be way higher. Like, does the Philip Rivers, the Matty Ice, does the Matt Staffords get in? Especially the first two without any Super Bowl rings, you know. So I don't know. I wouldn't want Matt Ryan to be um,
I wouldn't want him to
Hall of
be
Famer,
in the
though.
Hall of Fame, but that doesn't mean what we want is going to happen. And I have a funny feeling that he will end up being in the Hall of Fame, which I won't be happy about. But regardless, I think the Colts made a big mistake. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the Colts should have never parted ways with Carson Wentz. They shouldn't have.
It's
So
not looking great.
it's not. And this is what happens when Jim Irsay runs an organization. Now, I know that he's had the sheriff and Peyton Manning. I know Philip Rivers did his thing for a little duration while he was there. But I've watched Jim Irsay and all that has gone on with Jim Irsay, and I don't know if he knows his ass from his head at times, if I'm going to be completely honest. To go out and get Jeff Saturday and take a guy from ESPN that is commentating and has no coaching experience and bring him in and disregard the coaches that are already in the building, just because you have a rapport with him and because of him being a phenomenal lineman while he was there. That, amongst many other things, is stupid. You got rid of Carson Wentz because you didn't like him and you guys didn't make the playoffs. Well, guess what? You're not making the playoffs this year either. And Carson Wentz is nowhere near the team. It doesn't help that Jonathan Taylor, after having a career year last year, went down, is now out for the rest of the season, and it has been injury prone throughout the whole season. But I feel that if I got to give Jerry Jones slander, I'm going to give Jim Irsay slander all the time, because it just seems like they don't make the right choices when they need to make the right choices and let their emotions get involved in certain things. More so Irsay than Jerry, but still can't stand Jerry. But yep, it's the Colts and melted ice for me.
Dude, they have, as of right now, they have the sixth pick in the draft. I'd have to imagine that it'll probably, I don't know what their remaining schedule is, but it'll probably tumble down um, a little bit more. You have to be CJ Stroud, Will Levi, like, one of these quarterbacks may be available for him. I don't even know if Chris Ballard, who I have said for 2 years on this podcast, I think was one of the best GMs in football.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think he was on board with hiring Jeff Saturday, but
I'm sure he wasn't.
But if it means tanking your season and getting a better draft pick, then maybe he was.
Maybe.
But yeah, to the Wentz point too, you trade all these assets and these like crazy stipulations to these draft picks to get Carson Wentz, and then you just certainly there were a lot of problems last year, and he he performed like, he had that choke job against the Jaguars at the end of the season, but we now see what this Jaguars team was capable of.
Hmm.
Um, and then you trade him and you don't get nearly what you traded to get him. So it's just been a mess there. And it might just take just wiping out everything and starting over. You put Jonathan Taylor on IR like after that high ankle sprain on Saturday. Um, so hopefully he can be healthy. You can work on that offensive line. Like, they have the receivers, they have some talent on this team. They lost Shaq Leonard. Like the defense, at moments we're like, this defense is really good, and there's things just aren't working in Indianapolis. But will be interesting to see what this offseason brings this team and how far down they continue to tumble or up the draft board rather. But yeah, I mean, I think we saw this coming months ago. We said this whole rent an old veteran quarterback move was not working, and eventually
Not at all.
it
Yeah.
blows up in your face. And here we have it. Like, you know, we all thought this Matt Ryan experience would have worked. We thought Carson would have worked. We even thought Philip Rivers was going to work. And I mean, Philip Rivers at least brought you to the playoffs, but
I think you said it on this pod before. They've still been chasing Andrew Luck.
yeah.
That's all they've been doing.
Yeah. And I mean, when you're that Hall of Fame talent like Andrew Luck just decides to like hang it up and that weeks before the season starts,
Yeah.
like that's gotta throw your organization upside down, man. No
I'm sure
matter
it
who's
does.
under center after that. I think was that Jacoby Brissett just they played that year out like just a
Pretty
mess,
much, yeah.
man. But yeah, we're gonna see another rebuild here in Indy, and it's probably 2 or 3 years too late. But
Well, enough of this BS about the Colts. Talk about your boys.
dude, uh that Jets Lions game was really frustrating. I mean, we both believe in this Lions team. I picked the Jets to win. I thought Mike White was going to lead to be under center. He's been ruled out for Thursday's game now against the Jaguars too. So
Mm.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say like this isn't on Zach Wilson, this is on the coaches. Yes, Robert Saleh did not have a good game. The end of the last like 3 minutes of that Jets game was nauseating to watch. Like as a Jets fan, I'm screaming at the TV. My friends are screaming at each other, like use a timeout. I mean, Zach Wilson for every deep, nice ball he made, and he made Eli Moore made a hell of a catch on a play, but for every like great pass Zach Wilson made to Wilson or Moore, whoever, like the tight ends too, like he continued to sail these intermediate throws over Barrios's head, over these other receivers' heads, and to put your kicker Greg Zerline, who's been really good this year. He's reclaimed the name of Greg the Leg that he had when he was with the Rams, right? Like he's hit some clutch field goals, but to put him in a position where you had your timeouts and the only reason you had all three, and the only reason Saleh used one of them was because Zach Wilson got sacked, like with seconds to go, and forced that kick on like second down or whatever it was. Like, Garrett Wilson said after this game too. I mean, you started 5-2, and now you're 7-7, and now you don't have Mike White this week against a Jaguars team that's hungry. That if these Jags win out, they win the South. I mean, it's conceivable to think that like the Titans are going to fall apart here. Like, is Ryan Tannehill healthy? Like, they're playing the Texans this week. Like, the Texans gave the Chiefs a fit. They gave your Eagles a fit. Their defense is pretty good. They've been in games like
They're my
it's kind
honorary winner, honestly.
yeah. They were going to be one of mine too for sure, because like they've been in every game at least
Yep.
that I've seen them play this year. They've been
And
in
I
it.
pray Lovey doesn't get fired because they've
He
literally
shouldn't.
fought. They just lose it. They've seemed to just keep losing it in the last quarter. Within like the last 5 minutes is when they lose the game. So they're in every game. So and what is it, Davis Mills, who I didn't know anything about until you said his name on the pod. I was like, who the hell is that? And you're like, yeah, no,
Oh,
he's
when I
from
said he was going to be a first round pick.
yeah, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then he's actually not that bad. Honestly, I think they're gonna have a ton of picks from the Deshaun Watson situation, correct? Right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna be able to build up their team, and what they already have there, they could be a very, very scary team in the future. So yeah, that's an
Yeah,
honor.
they have as of right now, they have the first pick in the draft. The Texans are 1-12-1.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears are 3-11. And they also, as you mentioned, they have that Browns pick as of right now. That Browns pick is 12th overall. So you could take Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. It's probably going to be Bryce Young, even though he's a little small, but you're going to take him at 1, and then at 12, you're going to be able to still get an impact player. Defensive lineman, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Jets lost this game more than the Lions won it, in my opinion. And hopefully Thursday night is a good night for me, because right now
I'm sorry to say this, Sam. It's probably not going to be, and I think you already know that.
Yeah, I know that.
But I wasn't mad at Wilson, and I watched Salah's press conference, post game conference, excuse me, and I think people need to really pay attention to who he's talking to. He's not talking to Jets fans. He's talking to Zach Wilson. He's trying to encourage this guy because he knows that he had to talk to him this week, and he knows he's going to be his quarterback on Thursday. So he's talking to him to try to instill confidence, because this podcast included, more so from Sam more than anything, Zach Wilson has gotten beaten down. This is not a city. This is not an area that if you mess up that they're going to be forgiving. You play for a New York team. New York media is not forgiving. And for what he's done to himself and had to endure as well, he handled himself pretty well. He had that one throw that I was like, what the hell is he doing? Literally threw it right to the Lions defender. And I was just like, okay, well, That's terrible. But he also had that pass that got them into field goal range, right? So he also was able to put points on the board with his team and still show flashes of what he could be. I honestly think, Sam, that next year, if he puts the work in, and this was a humbling experience for him, he will come back next year and absolutely shred if he puts the work in. I don't know if he does that, because I feel like he's just been catered to his whole life and hasn't really pushed to do that. And not saying that he hasn't worked hard to get to the NFL, because you don't just get to the NFL by waking up one day and just flicking the ball down the field. It just doesn't happen. But I think he's going to have to earn that spot, or as I've said before, he's going to be out of the league. But this time of the year is not only dedicated to cold weather, it's dedicated to the Cowboys collapsing. Yeah, I've done pretty good this whole year without.
I left this one for you, by the way. I got to the rundown first, and I left this one to you.
I've let the Cowboys slide, and essentially they've shut me up to a certain extent. Not really shut me up, but they've kept people at bay for quite some time with what they've been playing with, and even with Cooper Rush and what they were doing. Nobody expected them to put that up. This could all be a different conversation. They could not even be in the hunt right now if they didn't win with Cooper Rush, and they did. So I want to give respect where respect is due there. But this is the time of the year that the Cowboys screw up. And so for that, I have them as a loser. And I'll get to my second loser of this that is paired with the Cowboys very shortly. As I mentioned earlier, Micah was talking about Jalen Hurts, and it now has been one of the biggest sound clips throughout the whole season, due to part of this rivalry that they have. The game that is upon us on Christmas Eve, which is arguably probably the biggest game of the whole year in general for teams. Yes, I know you have. Just thanks, Sam. So Dak coming back, they were the number one offense, scoring offense. That has since declined. Dak has been turning the ball over left and right. His decision making hasn't been the greatest. The pick six wasn't his fault. Noah Brown had the ball pop off of him into to Rashawn, and that was the end all be all. But the Cowboys in frequent weeks have not played up to the potential that their roster looks like on paper. And I like I said before, I give it to some part of their defense missing some key pieces, but at this point in time, whose defense is not missing a key piece, right? We my boy CD is not there. That's Mr. Gardner is not there for safety. We've lost Dallas Goedert's coming back. We lost Jordan Davis for a certain part, but the Eagles are still doing what they have to do. And I'm sure on the Jets, I can't name all the people you probably could of defensive players that they've lost, and even offensive players. Every team has lost somebody. It's now what you do with your backups. This is why the reps are what they are. And the Cowboys have been playing lackluster lately. For a team that has some stars on their team, some huge playmakers on their team, Micah Parsons, who I love as a Penn State fan, needs to shut his mouth right now because he really hasn't been doing too much as of recent. He hasn't been impactful as of recent. Diggs, I still enjoy him very much so. He plays very, very well, and he's been playing well all season. He's been playing better coverage than he was last season, which I don't think that's really being spoken about. But the Cowboys in general right now, and Mike McCarthy is a part of the issue, and Jerry Jones as well. But the Cowboys right now aren't it, and I don't know. They're going to make the playoffs, but I don't know what they do in the playoffs if they don't fix these things. I don't care if they get Odell. I don't care if Ty is in there playing. I don't think that's the issue. I think there's too many holes in other places, and Dak being one of them, and then holes in the defense. But the other loser is December, because you have to share this time with the Cowboys and their losses every year, and you get a bad rep along with them because you're just paired with them. And I'm sorry to December because you don't deserve this. You just don't. It's cold. You deserve disrespect for being this cold December, but not to be paired with the Cowboys. And I'm done there, Sam.
Hey, that was great.
Thanks. I know.
Hey, you want to do some picks?
Absolutely. Let's go.
This is pretty it's a pretty chalky week for us here. It looks like every game, every team is playing. A lot of Saturday games. And all but two of them we agree on. So let's just get into it. Thursday Night Football, Jaguars visit the Jets. We both have the Jaguars. I think we've kind of made those points clear here. Falcons at the Ravens. We both have the Ravens. The Lions are visiting the Panthers. Both have the Lions there. Seahawks at the Chiefs. Go Kansas City. We both have the Chiefs there. Saints at the Browns. I don't really love both these teams. The weather's supposed to be insane, like from a wind factor in Cleveland on Saturday or Sunday, but we both have the Browns. I think Nick Chubb's going to run all over the Saints. Texans at the Titans. We both have the Titans. I think Derrick Henry's going to run all over the Texans, as he usually does. Bengals at the Patriots.
Penguins,
both have
yeah.
the Bengals. Yeah, the Penguins.
Mm-hmm.
Look out, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Look out for them. Both have the Penguins there. Giants at the Vikings. We're both taking the Vikes. Bills at the Bears. Both have the Bills there. And Commanders. We didn't even talk about this crazy Monday night game or Sunday night game, the Commanders and the Giants, but we'll save that for another time. Commanders at the Niners. Both have the Niners there. Now, this is where we disagree, kind of, I think. Eagles at the Cowboys. I picked the Eagles, but I'd feel really good about it if Jalen Hurts was under center. It sounds like he could play. You're going to be a little bolder than I am. You're saying whether it's Hurts or Minshew, the the Eagles are going to take down the Cowboys.
Yes, they're just a better roster. They don't have the holes that the Cowboys have that I just mentioned. And the way that they've been playing as of recent, I
Yeah,
don't
it
trust the
means a lot.
Cowboys. So
Yeah, no,
that's
fair.
that. And you can say I'm a little biased on that one too, but I really just don't. I think Gardner Minshew is a serviceable quarterback and could
Yeah.
definitely be starting for a team right now.
Oh, 100%. Totally
So
agree with that. So that's where we stand on this Eagles game. Here's where we disagree. Saturday night, Christmas Eve, Raiders at the Steelers. It looks like Kenny Pickett is going to start for the Steelers. I have the Raiders. We've been talking a lot of smack about them. They've kind of turned season around. I just think the Raiders are a better team than the Steelers. Maybe not defensively, but offensively. Um, so I'm gonna go with the Raiders. Big late win against the Patriots. Maybe they ride that momentum. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm picking Raiders. You have the Steelers there.
I'm going with the Steelers because I hardly go against Mike Tomlin, and I just to the point of what you said about the Steelers defense. I don't trust the Raiders offense. I know they have Devontae Adams, and I trust him, but I don't know who this version of Carr is, and it's up and down every other week. I mean, if they're handing the ball off to Jacobs, I think that helps, but I trust the Steelers defense more than I trust the Raiders offense. That's why I'm going Steelers.
Hey, that's fair. Those were the Christmas Eve games. Christmas Day, Packers at the Dolphins. Both have the Dolphins. Broncos at the Rams. Both have the Rams. The Bucks at the Cardinals. Now Colt McCoy is probably not even going to play. It's going to be Trace McSorley against Tom Brady on Christmas Day. Good luck with that. That'll be a fun Sunday night game to watch. We both have the Bucks there, and Monday Night Football, Chargers at the Colts. Can we get better island games? I call them people call them island games. Obviously, Monday Night Football is the only game you're going to be able to watch. Sunday Night Football, Thursday. Can we get better games in prime time?
And do they have the ability to flex on
They
those
don't
games?
yeah, but they don't flex.
No, they should.
They probably didn't bother with Christmas because the NBA is so stacked on Christmas, but they usually don't flex out Monday night games. It's usually the Sunday night or Saturday.
They should have in
games
this case. They definitely should have in this case.
Yeah, a lot better matchups you could have put there, but Chargers at the Colts, we'll see. There. So that was our picks. Both have the Chargers, that one, obviously. Brennan, a lot of shakeups in your top 10 power rankings.
Absolutely.
Brought to you by powerrankings.com. I don't know. Last week, New England 10, Minnesota 9, Miami 8, Baltimore 7, San Fran 6. The Bengals were at 5. Kansas City was at 4. The Dallas Cowboys were at 3. The Bills were at 2, and your Eagles were up at top 12-1. Now they're 13-1. But this week's top 10, take it away, number 10.
Well, just disclaimer: the top 2 teams last week are the top 2 teams this week. That has not changed. So that has not changed. At 10, the Chargers have crept in. My buddy gave me some lip and said, your top 10's a little shaky because I don't see the Chargers in there. And I was like, well, they got to win this week. And I chose them not to win this week, but I did say they could win this week. They won, but they barely won, which is exactly why I said the Chargers are shaky, but they could have been interchangeable in 10. But they are 10 this week, 8-6. It's just really hard for me to position the Chargers in a higher spot or to look at them as doing something because of where we saw them being in the beginning of the season and where they are now. Just not it, but they are making a run right now and they have a chance. And I mean, Keenan Allen, who I absolutely love, has been balling out, and so has Mike Wallace. So I'm enjoying it. And to think about this young man still throwing it with cracked ribs out here is wild to me. At 9, the Ravens are 9-5. They're still staying afloat without Lamar. They have a solid defense, as we've always known. The Ravens are always going to have a solid defense, but they are there, and they're one behind the Dolphins, who are 8-6. But the Dolphins, I feel like the competition that they have played has been a little bit harder, which is why they got the little edge over the Ravens at this point in time, and they still have their starting quarterback. But the Dolphins have literally run into some cutthroat teams, and that game against the Bills was really, really good. Especially with snow. For those people that are out here saying that all stadiums need to have a dome, I would say no, because then we wouldn't get the snow in what you call northern New York, and the snow in general, and have that big change. Snow games are beautiful. I love them. I just would not subject myself to be in that snow in Buffalo. Just not
Western New York.
happening.
Western.
I said northern New York. It's still northern. It's right on the border, Sam.
Yeah, it's north of us, I guess. Right.
Anyway, whatever. Vikings at 7, 11-3. They are. I think Sam's text stands. Even though they ended up pulling this out, they do suck to me. It's crazy for me to say this about a team that's 11-3. But they do suck to me in a certain extent, because they play these crazy comeback games and just continue to do that all season long. But at what point does it stop? Because you can only do that so many times and continue to do it. And they have great weapons, and they continue to win at this point in time with that. But when they win against some viable teams outside of the Bills, they've gotten their tails handed to them. So I don't really know still what this team's identity is, but they keep winning. So they're at 7. Probably the biggest drop this week is the Cowboys. We're 10-4. They're at 6 this week. They lost to the Jags, as mentioned before. I know that they have all those holes that I talked about on the defense, but to play two very, very close games to two teams that you essentially should beat on paper, where we kind of see you and how you've played and the games that you put together against such teams like the Vikings, and how you beat down who was the other team that they beat down really, really bad. Trying to think of the other team.
The Vikings, whatever. The Bills. Did they beat the Bills?
Did they beat the Bills? No, I don't think they played the Bills. No, I don't think so. Check. I'll let you check that while I'm looking at that. But I just don't. I don't know who we're getting out of the Cowboys. With the talent that they have on there, one of the biggest question marks that I didn't mention earlier is CeeDee Lamb to me. He has uber talent, but is super inconsistent. And to bear the number 88, which in Cowboys lore is the best wide receiver, the playmaker in general, I don't think he's lived up to that yet. He could. He still has more than enough time, as he's really young, but I think that's one of the softer parts of their team, and I think he can turn that around, but we'll see. At number 5, Bengals, who are now on a 6-game win streak. They're 10-4. They've absolutely been shredding teams, and it's scary to say that they kind of look better than they did last year, which is saying a lot, because they were in last year. Yeah, the line is a lot better, which we weren't talking about that at all this year, which says a lot. It's scary. At 4, the Niners, 10-4, as I mentioned before, plug and play. They continue to win. And I don't see really many people stopping them at this point. The Chiefs, number 3. It's funny how they said that he was going to miss or skip a beat with Tyreek Hill not being there, and he's either arguably the MVP or considered to be the number 2, depending on how you look at it and what you're looking at. But with this team led by Mahomes, they still are out there balling, and the defense has actually held up their side of the bargain, which is crazy to me, because I still think their defense is super, super soft. But I guess we'll see how that pans out. with Mahomes, you can mask a lot of things like that. At 2, the team that beat the Dolphins in that Snow Bowl up there is the Bills, 11-3. The Bills are playing up now what it seems to be the potential of what we thought they could be and being in the Super Bowl at the end of the year. I mean, we'll still have to see because they have a lot of good teams that they have to play. And the Bengals, the Chiefs, possibly, right? Whichever one of them to get to that next spot. And I'm very, very curious to see how this all pans out. They have the capability of doing it, but we'll see. But I would love to see the Bills actually in the Super Bowl. And number 1, the Eagles, 13-1. Jalen is hurt right now. He says he's going to play. Nick Sirianni thinks he is going to do whatever he can to play. I'm not doubting him. This team is still hitting on all cylinders, even though this was a really, really close game and they showed some holes on that defense for sure. Not being able to tackle Justin Fields, but that also is Justin Fields. At the same time, they still almost have 5 players with 10 sacks in a season, which has never been done for an NFL team. And they have 55 sacks already this season. So that defense, even with the holes and not being able to stop the run at certain parts in the season, are still getting to the quarterback and still changing the field, the length of the field by their defense. And I think that is a part that's not really being spoken about either. They also get Dallas Goedert back this week. And that's my top 10.
Love it. Great job.
Thanks.
Crushed it, as always. Speaking about crushing it, going on to something other than football, well, I guess American football, the World Cup. Did you tune in to the greatest World Cup final ever? And I say that because I haven't watched many World Cup finals, but a lot of other people have said it's the best World Cup final ever. So
It is.
guess I wasn't wrong there. Just Argentina defeats France in penalty kicks. Just peak Messi, Mbappe, like just dude, I didn't want this to end. I'm not even a soccer fan. Like just didn't want it. Like it was just riveting. I didn't even care who won. I was just like I was rooting more for Messi just based on like legacy and like the one thing left that he needs to quote unquote achieve. But dude, man, I was riveted for those however long that was. It was a great way to end your Sunday morning as you get ready for NFL football. Your thoughts on a World Cup final?
One of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Period. It is easily the greatest World Cup final. For France to not have a shot on goal for a majority of regular time, for Argentina to go up 2-0. All right. To go up 2-0 and think that they are just going to take this with nothing. They were extremely dominant. And then all of a sudden, Mbappe gets a PK and crushes it. And then a minute later, crushes another one on a phenomenal sliding kick into the goal. Crazy.
Yeah.
And then it's now tied up 2-2. So you're thinking, if you've watched the history of Argentina, they've blown some major leads in World Cup history with Messi's teams in the past. And it was looking like at one point when the way Mbappe was playing, that they were about to give this one up. He is one of the only people to have 3 goals in a World Cup match. He's only 23, and I think he tied the most goals in World Cup history. And again, he's only 23, so he's going to blow that out. He's probably, by the time he's done, he's probably going to have 40 goals, period. But what happened between him and Messi going back and forth and scoring nonstop, then going to extra time, then going to extended time, and then going to PKs. which that there's no way that match shouldn't. It had to go to PKs, and I'm very very happy that it did. Wow, that was just a really really good match, and I'm very very happy that Messi got his chance to shine and to win. Mbappe won 4 years ago, and I'm sure he's going to have multiple chances of winning multiple as it comes moving forward. But super super happy for Messi. And did you see the crowd in Argentina when they won with the drone overhead?
No.
Absolutely nuts, insane,
Oh, I've seen
insane.
some shots of like the city, like or the country losing its mind, and rightfully so. I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't see that specific drone shot, but
that was so amazing. Yeah,
dude,
if you guys get a chance, watch the drone video. Amazing.
yeah, I was really engaged, and this is coming from someone who just passively watches soccer. So I was totally into it. So just kudos to Argentina and France and whatnot. And where's the next World Cup? United States?
Yep.
Well, that's fun.
Oh, it
And
is
then we
going to be
have
fun because I
the
definitely will be
Olympics
going.
soon after that.
I will be going.
Yeah, I know they're gonna use the link, right? I'm sure they'll use MetLife. It's
They
gonna
are
be fun.
using MetLife Link. I think SoFi. They're using something I think it's in Canada, Montreal, and then I don't think they're using one in. No, they're not using it in Mexico. I think they were going to, but I don't think they are. So yeah,
It's North America. It's not just the United
yeah,
States,
it's
right?
North
Yeah.
America. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. Yeah, hopefully that we have a young US squad. Got to bring it back to our US guys, young team. Hopefully 4 more years of play and playing together, and you never know, but just fun Sunday. Great weekend of sports, man. You want to let's switch gears, go into the NBA.
Run it off. Let's go.
Hey, Robert Sarver said he's selling the it's official, I guess, or
It is.
gonna be official. The Phoenix Suns are being sold. We spoke a couple months ago of this bombshell report and accusations coming out of Phoenix about just the inappropriateness and mismanagement that Sarver had with employees, and just not great culture experience there in Phoenix. And rumblings of that have been bouncing around the league for a while. But who is this? Matt Ishbia is a
Yep.
billionaire, going to buy the Suns for $4 billion.
Suns and Mercury.
And the Mercury, $4 billion. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know who this billionaire is, but he's got a lot of money and he's going to buy the Suns.
He's
Anything's
a billionaire mortgage lender. Don't know
Oh.
anything about him outside of that. But the fact that they're spending $4 billion on the NBA record was formerly from Joe Tsai, who bought the Nets
Was
for $2.35 billion. And now this is $4 billion.
And that was recent. Cy bought the team like 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yep. And
Wow.
this is where this is at, and it's going to only continue to rise because the NBA's stock continues to rise. But $4 billion on this one to get that, I'm happy that hopefully, I'm sure the culture will absolutely change. I think we need to really, I think there needs to be something implemented across all about these owners and what's going on, and there really needs to be like a investigation in all front offices or in every building to make sure these type of things don't happen, because it's like once you're there and you're there for quite some time, people get lazy, allow things to happen, and it just kind of starts to become a culture, i.e. Dan Snyder type situation.
Yeah.
I think we need to keep an eye on that. But I'm curious to see how this is going to go. I'm sure the players are happy to kind of put and change and move this chapter on, and we'll see what happens, because I'm sure he's going to invest some money here, and this is going to be fun to see.
Yeah,
Definitely fun to see.
I'm sure Chris Paul hasn't said anything yet. I haven't seen it, but I mean, he's the head of the PA too, so just interesting there. But yeah, anything's got to be better than what you have currently there, and it's a hard situation. We've seen it with Jim Irsay, we've seen it with Dan Snyder. You know, they're the owners, and the commissioner also works for the owners. So you can hold these players to, hold them accountable for their actions or, what they say or do, but it's really hard to hold the owner to it, the governor, excuse me. But um, yeah, I totally agree with you. There needs to be some kind of reform. Just make sure that these situations don't happen. I mean, we saw with the Mavericks too, and a lot of it, Mark Cuban took blame for a lot of it. He also said a lot of it was, under him, or just he wasn't wasn't prevalent under him, like he didn't notice it, whatever. But that, something's got to certainly change, because it's not the last time something like this is going to happen. That's just in general. That's just sad. But
And also, quick correction: Chris Paul is not the head of the NBAPA. It's
not
CJ
anymore. Is it
McCollum.
McCollum? Yeah, it's CJ McCollum now, but he was. Chris Paul
Yes, he
was.
was.
But
Mhm.
and there isn't a more respectable figure in the NBA than Chris Paul. He's definitely up there. But yeah, that's right. CJ McCollum is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of just really just sad news, or just bad circumstances, bad news coming out of I don't know where he's based now, but ex New York Knick, Miami Heat. He was even assistant coach on your Nets. Amari Stoudemire accused of punching one of his daughters. I didn't even know about this story until you mentioned it to me about an hour ago. But I guess he has two daughters, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. It wasn't specified which one. Regardless, it doesn't matter which one. He's got four children, and I don't know the extent of it. I don't know if you know any more, but just awful to hear something like this.
Yeah, it's saying that either he struck either or the 17 or 14-year-old girl.
Right.
Apparently that he punched her in the jaw and slapped her hard enough to draw blood. That's all I've heard. He's got one count of misdemeanor battery and domestic violence charge against him. I haven't heard more in regards to this, but it's just crazy to see this. A buddy of mine, George, shared this with me, and I was just like, what? Like, what's going on? So I, I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but this is sad all around. I mean, I'm not encouraging that. I like Amari. I don't like domestic violence. It's just messy. So I'm going to sit back and wait until I see more when it comes to this, for sure.
Yeah, really unfortunate story, and certainly all the facts aren't out, but don't like reading that, especially from anyone, but a high profile athlete too. Yeah. Next on our NBA list, though, Kevin Durant has passed Celtics legend John Havlicek and Paul Pierce on the all-time scoring list
In the same night
in the same night
against the Pistons. Yeah, that was huge. KD balled his heart out in that one. Happy to see him pass both of them, because any guy that I root for my team that passes the Celtic, I'm happy for, especially Paul
and
Pierce.
two Celtic legends, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Paul Pierce, you could say, but Havlicek definitely,
Paul
I
Pierce
guess Paul Pierce
Pierce is a legend.
defined an era of Celtics basketball.
He's
Definitely.
a Celtics legend.
Yeah, I take it back. Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Totally. Even before KG and Allen came there, he was holding down that team for a while there. Yeah, though just I mean KD's the man. I was watching, I didn't get to finish it. I have like 10 minutes left, but I was watching the Redeem Team Netflix doc. Did you end up have you seen that?
Of course I did. I watched it the day it came out.
I see. I know we talked about it on the pod and we were really excited, and it slipped through the cracks. And I was on, Netflix the other night. I was watching it, and I didn't get to finish it because, I'm a father of two children, so that comes first. But just seeing like a baby face KD and like some of the tryouts, I know he wasn't on the the 2008 Beijing team, the US team that played in Beijing, but just like because I know he was drafted in what, '07, I think. So like, man, just to see how loaded that team was, and then just the fact that now one of the prolific scorers in NBA history wasn't even on it because he was a rookie, you know. But yeah, just they're good. I hope this Nets, for your sake, for just New York basketball's sake, I just hope this Nets team can kind of keep it together. And still think they need. I think you guys were talking about on the pod last week. They need some help up front. Still,
Big
I mean,
body.
a major. There's in my I know you will co-sign and agree with me immediately. The loss of Jared Allen, even 2 years later, is like a big difference on this team for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't move Jared Allen, you don't clear the space to get KD or Kyrie. So it's worth it in
The
hindsight,
harder
especially
trade, yeah,
get
yeah.
KD. But if there's a way that you can keep him, I mean, that you do. But they lost him, they lost Karis LeVert, they lost Spencer Dinwiddie, they lost a lot of good people
Yeah.
and try to get KD. And I mean, again, it's Kevin Durant. So I do that trade over and over or make those moves over and over a million times to get KD. So
No one in their right mind, except maybe the Celtics, wouldn't want Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant at the time that a
they
couple
came
years
over.
ago
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
came. No one,
Absolutely.
no
Yeah.
one would say no to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unfortunate how a lot of it's played off, and that KD was hurt that first year, and that everything that made the Nets so great, that young culture, D'Angelo Russell, and that what were they, the sixth seed that year? Like,
Yeah. With one of the most
um,
electrifying benches I've ever seen in my whole
benches
entire
ever,
life.
yeah. And it
Yeah.
just, unfortunately, as you mentioned, they had to sacrifice a lot of that depth to get Harden and then flip that around. But still, I no one no one in the right mind would even turn down James Harden in that situation, even though he came with his own baggage. But yeah, big moment for Katie. Where is he on the all time list now? Do you know? He's probably got to
Uh,
be up there if it's Havlicek and Paul Pierce. I'll take a look. But speaking of all time scoring leaders, Dame Lillard, our boy, has passed Clyde Drexler on the Trailblazers all time scoring list. He's number one, and rightfully so. I mean, no one embodies, I feel like, their city more in basketball context than Dame and Portland. There's been rumblings of him leaving forever. And he's, stayed put. His best friend gets traded. There's been a lot of overturn in that locker room, new head coach after coach. But Dame's still here, and that longevity is certainly paying off now as he's the all-time scoring leader in Portland.
well, it's because Dame doesn't want to leave and have people point at him and say that he left to go join a team and build a superpower, and why he's invited plenty of people to come to him, because it's the theory of I didn't leave, they came to me type thing. So yeah, of course, makes sense in that aspect. But shout out to Clyde the Glide Drexler, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest basketball players ever. He had the record for 27 years. 27 years. That's older than some people that I know. So he had 18,040 points of the Trailblazers. Dame Lillard entered the night only needing 21 points, and he dropped 28 against the Thunder, which now at that point in time led with 18,041 points. So shout out to Dame. I mean, it's not surprise. I'm sure he's going to keep padding those stats, and that's probably going to not be stopped for quite some time because Dame is different. As we talked about on here last week, is we have Harrison, Dame, and myself have a forever love for Portland Trailblazers, which is why I normally cater to them on 2K, because I just love their jerseys. I just love the players that have played there, and Sheed and Mighty Mouse and Brandon Roy and so on and so forth. So yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah, I know you've always liked the Trailblazers, and I totally related to Harrison last week when he said like the Trailblazers were his like West Coast team. I used
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
when I used to bartend like right out of college, like I'd be up, well, not as late. In Connecticut, I think they stopped serving at like 2 a.m. But I'd always have like Trailblazer games on, West Coast games on at night while I was bartending. And Brandon Roy, man, when he said Roy, I was like, man, those knees, if he was healthy,
Mm.
he'd still be in
Yeah.
the league balling, man.
He would have broke some records himself
Yeah,
if he'd have stayed
definitely.
there. Yeah.
So yeah, I've always kind of had an affinity for the Trailblazers team, and I mean, you know this, Dame Lillard's one of my all-time favorite basketball players. So like, kudos to him. And you know they're right in it with in the standings here. I think they're seventh right now in the West. They're 17 and 14. So you know they're right there. But you know the Grizzlies are 19 and 10, so they're only 3 games out of first place.
Hmm.
This we've mentioned it a couple times already this season. The West is a coin flip every day. There's a new, you know, a new
It's
order
been the
shuffling
West for
through there.
like the past 10
Yeah,
years. Yeah.
yeah. So it's all it's coming you know it's coming together there for Portland after some big trades. But
Well, let's stay in the
here's some new,
West. Yeah, let's stay
yeah,
in the West.
saying
Pat Bev.
I have no idea. I obviously know the original beef, but the Pat Bev Chris Paul beef continues. Can you fill me in on this? I honestly have no idea what the latest chapter is.
When you guys hear this would be 2 nights ago.
Okay.
But the Lakers were playing the Suns, and the Lakers were down 20 points. Patrick Beverly gets fouled on a questionable call. Chris Paul fouled him, and he scores. Now, I just said that the Lakers were down 20 points. Pat Beverly points to the ground or puts his hand on the ground and shows like a couple of inches off the ground, saying he's too small for me. And Chris Paul just looked at him like, all right, you're a clown. He even spoke on it after. He was like, you just don't give it any attention. What's going on? The gripe has been about, I guess, a bunch of people that have been talking about in this field. Why would you do that when you're down? I think it's just really asinine that you would, but I also understand it's basketball. You're gonna do whatever you can do, especially if it's somebody that you don't like. You're going to take whatever shot you can at any point in time to take a jab at that person. You can be up by 5,000 points, and then you could be down by 10,000 points. Obviously, those aren't realistic numbers, but you can be down by anything. I'm still going to talk trash to the person that I absolutely despise, to get under their skin, to throw them out of their game. That didn't really work. It really has never worked when Pat Bever's done this to Chris Paul, because he ended up dropping 28 points and the Suns won. So
They won big. I just saw the play too.
Yeah, it's Pat Bev is,
Come on, man.
he's comical at times, but he's annoying most of the time for me. But he's a phenomenal defensive player. He's the Dollar Tree version of Gary Payton to me.
A Dollar Tree.
The Dollar Tree version of Gary Payton. I'll leave it at that.
The glove.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yeah. I just don't get it, man. Like, what? Chris Paul is just so under Pat Beverly's skin. He can't keep his name out of his mouth all off season. I mean, we saw it on First Take or Get Up or whatever it was. Like, will not stop talking about another dude. Like, just
Not
especially
just
when you're down by that much, man.
Yeah, I don't. When I'm losing, I just put my head down. I go to work.
Put your head down and take
back.
it, man. Like, let's go. Like, come
no,
on.
I'm not taking it. I'm gonna put my head down and go to work, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
happen.
just get to work. Like, do your job and get out of there. You know, you're down by. I mean, they lost. What'd they lose? Like 130 to 104 or something like that. Like, like just live for another day. 130 to 104. Yeah, just live for another day.
Yeah.
Last note's on the rundown, but wanted to definitely bring up because I just wanted to hear you say his name. After averaging 27 points and a career best almost 60% shooting, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks this season, Anthony Davis
plain clothes,
missed multiple weeks with a foot injury.
Mr. Glass
Underwent an MRI on Saturday after leaving Friday night's victory against the Nuggets, and you know, just doesn't look good. he's been a big part of what the Lakers are doing. I just mentioned the stats, and this was the other shoe was gonna drop. We praised him a couple weeks ago how good this team was looking, how good he was looking, and there you have it. So
I heard
plain
they
clothes.
asked Samuel Jackson to take the seat because they're going to film Mr. Glass too, and they want Anthony Davis to star in it. That's what I heard. This
You're well
man,
connected,
literally, the
so you
wind
would
could
know.
blow the wrong way, and something is hurt on him. And the crazy thing
Dude,
is,
he
I watched it, and it was like
he
the
got hurt in
lightest
the
tweet
air.
ever. I
He
know,
was like in the
I
air, and
know,
like
I know.
I don't even know how you get hurt there.
Like I said, he literally wind can blow and he just hurt. So I mean, I don't. Anytime I say this about Anthony Davis, I don't wish him to be hurt because I
No, of
love
course not.
seeing him play. Like when he
100%.
plays, he's absolutely in the top five of players in the NBA.
Top five, top
And
five.
but it pisses me off to not be able to see him play because he's always hurt, and that just is what it is.
It's fair. Multiple weeks. We'll see what that means. I don't know what that means, but the Lakers probably don't know what that means either. Real quick, Christmas. Obviously, there's a lot of NFL games happening this weekend, but Christmas is a big moment on the NBA schedule, NBA calendar. Just wanted to run through some of these games, get your thoughts and what you'll be tuned in to more than others, if you will. The Knicks, it's noon on Christmas Day. The Knicks are hosting the Atlanta Hawks. That'll be a good one. Trae Young in the Garden on Christmas. All these games are on ESPN or ABC. The Celtics at 2:30 are in Milwaukee. Golden State visits the Suns at 5. These are all Eastern time. Lakers host the Nets at 8 o'clock. We'll know you'll be tuned in for that one. And the Mavs Jazz at 10:30. Going to be also a good one. This Jazz team, despite all their losses, talent wise, are playing well. Thoughts on the Christmas slate?
Uh, the first game is a little lopsided. I know what they're doing. They're trying to play on the,
Yeah.
Trae Young coming to New York, getting that whole rivalry type thing going. It's not really rivalry. I just from that playoff situation. But the Knicks have been absolutely killing it. Jalen Brunson is worth every penny that they paid for him at this point. So I'll be able to watch that game. I'll be able to watch that Celtics Bucks game, which is probably one of the games that I really, really want to watch. But as soon as it hits 425, I don't care what happens in the end of that game. I will just watch and see whatever happens at that point on my phone. So that means I will be missing the Warriors Suns game. So I'm not happy about that, but I'm not missing the Cowboys Eagles game as
That's on Christmas Eve, isn't it?
That's right. That's Christmas Day. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'll be watching all of that then. I'm just thrown off, Sam. I got a little excited.
Dude, it's really confusing. Like
it is.
what
It's a
games
lot
are
going
there's
on.
so many Saturday games.
It's a lot going on. I'm really intrigued to see the Nets play the Lakers. Like, if they're gonna play down, they're gonna play up to them. I don't know. I hope they absolutely smash them, but we'll see what happens there. And then that Mavs Jazz game should actually be really good too. So I think this all these games are gonna be really, really good. I'll probably have fatigue after watching the Nets Lakers game and probably be falling asleep at that point in time. So I probably won't see Luka play, but whatever, it'll be all right.
There's not many. There's 3 Christmas games. Football: Packers, Dolphins, Broncos, Rams, Bucks, Cardinals. Packers, Dolphins at 1 o'clock. I'm assuming it's at 1 o'clock. Like I would tune into that, but otherwise, I'm probably gonna be watching basketball the rest of the night. Unfortunately, if these teams were healthier, Broncos, Rams would have been a huge game.
Yeah.
If these teams were healthy and playing at what we thought they'd be playing when the schedule was made. And
Yikes.
Bucks, if Kyler was healthy and this team was playing better, Bucks Cardinals would be a huge game.
It would
as well. But yeah, I love Christmas basketball. I've mentioned it to you. It's kind of when I really like lock in on the NBA, but I stayed true to my promise to you, dude. I've been watching more basketball. So
good. You should.
Yeah, earlier than I said I was too. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. We're here doing it. But real quick, do you care? MLB edition. The Red Sox let Xander Bogaerts go. I know you guys talked about it last week, like a 13-year deal for way too much money.
Mm-hmm.
Said he was insulted by the Red Sox offer of, a 1 year, $30 million deal. Now, there are reports that after spring training, Rafael Devers will not, their star third baseman, the Red Sox star third baseman, will not offer entertain, uh, you know, uh, contract extensions, and they're quote unquote galaxies apart. The Red Sox agent said, the Devers agent. So there's that. This is also a team that traded Mookie Betts for Alex Verdugo and a bunch of prospects. That won the top prospect Jeter Downs that they just DFA'd. So there's that. And then I also was combing through something. I guess I'll first ask the question. Devers in the Red Sox are galaxies apart. Do you care?
Well, as I said already, that the Red Sox they have already blown this, and he will not be there. I don't know what they're doing in their front office, but I guarantee they wish they had Theo back, because this would be an absolutely different situation. But I don't care. I hope the Red Sox just keep losing everybody that they've gained. I really don't care for them.
Yeah, I care for the fact that like Rafael Devers is, you know, an all-star player
Mm-hmm.
and a great young talent in this league. And the Red Sox fans, even though they are obnoxious and awful for the most part, this is my own opinion as a Yankee fan living in New England for as long as I had. Um, but you're the Boston Red Sox. I was having a discussion with one of my fraternity brothers, Eric, about this. We've been talking about this for weeks now, but you know, uh, their GM, the Red Sox GM, was the GM in Tampa for a long time, and I don't know if he just kind of feels like they can win, you know, the way the Rays win. So you don't need Mookie Betts necessarily. You don't need to be locked down to Xander Bogaerts at like a huge number. But these are like really good players. And Mookie Betts is a Hall of Famer. So this is the 2018 Red Sox lineup that won the World Series against the Dodgers. This is their starting lineup. Mookie Betts with the Dodgers traded for nothing. Andrew Benintendi, he's now with the White Sox. Was just recently with the Yankees. Before that, he was with the Royals. Traded for nothing that really panned out. Steve Pearce retired. JD Martinez, he's now with the Dodgers. He left in free agency. Xander Bogaerts just left in free agency. Brock Holt's a free agent. He's probably should just be retired. Devers, of course, going to probably be leaving. Christian Vasquez, who was traded to the Astros last year for nothing and is now just signed with the Twins. And Jackie Bradley Jr., who is a free agent, but should have probably retired 2 years ago. Man, that stinks. Like, I'm just thinking, like, if we lost Aaron Judge, I mean, we've talked about it all season. And not that Aaron Judge and Devers are on the same scope or Xander Bogaerts, but like, you're the freaking Boston Red Sox. What are you doing? You can't keep your homegrown guys. Like, Mookie Betts doesn't deserve the contract that he got, the going rate for an outfielder in 2020 or whenever he signed that deal.
I
You got nothing.
I don't care about them.
I know you don't care. I mean, ultimately, I don't care. I'm happy. The AL East is a war zone. It's one less team that's going to be really good.
Why me?
Speaking of teams that are pretty good and at spending money at least, the Mets just signed Adam Ottavino, re-signed him to a 2-year deal worth $14 million. That means the Mets payroll, as we are speaking right now, is $358 million. They have far exceeded the salary cap, luxury tax, Cohen tax threshold. With the taxes, their payroll, they will be paying $446 million on their team. Do you care?
I only care for this fact. It's just ironic how the tables have turned when teams were saying when the Yankees were in the middle of their heyday that they were buying World Series, and now teams are spending way more than the Yankees. It's hilarious to me. Dodgers out here buying up every free agent that they possibly could just to lose. I mean, not saying that they haven't won one in recent memory, but yeah, I find it funny watching any team's payroll be on the Yankees, and these are some of the people that teams that we're talking about and their fan base is saying that the Yankees are buying World Series. That's why I just find it to be hilarious. So that's the only reason I care. Outside of that, I don't really care what the Mets are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. And we've seen it, we've lived it, where paying for a team doesn't mean anything. But that's a lot of money.
Well, you want to know what's also a lot of money?
What's a lot of money?
$3 million. And that is what the fan that caught the 60-second home run ball of Aaron Judge was offered, was $3 million. He decided to go to the auction where he won, and the auction ended at $1.5 million. But you screwed up. You had $3 million in your hand. And then if you were smart, you would have asked for multiple autographs. You could have kept what you wanted and sold some more. So you probably would have been somewhere above probably 3.5 million, depending on what you did and what merch you got. But you got 1.5 million. Now,
how would he get that? Like merch from Judge?
Yeah.
A lot of people surrender the ball.
Well, what a lot of people do in those situations, as you remember with the Jeter one, is they gave him season tickets.
Yeah, you get something from the team or the player, but
yeah, but you can negotiate with them,
right? But you're gonna give Judge the ball. You're not gonna get money for the ball. You don't own the ball anymore. You own like season tickets and a couple autographs.
Judge was gonna pay $3 million for the ball.
Judge was not going to pay $3 million.
That was literally the offer that was on the table. $3 million for the ball.
It was from Judge?
It was from Judge. From my understanding, it was from Judge.
Well, then I hope if he wanted that ball that bad for $3 million, I hope he
auctioned it.
Someone else paid 1.5 for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I can't see a baseball. It wasn't like he broke the all-time home run record or something. I couldn't see that ball being worth more than $3 million. I would have taken that deal at the time, but here, I don't have close to that money, and I think this guy was like a hedge fund manager or something.
Whatever he was, I mean, he still got 1.5 million out of it, regardless.
Still 1.5 million.
Yeah, so I mean, he still won in that sense. But yeah, I would have taken that first offer. But yeah, that's that.
I don't care how much that guy got. If you're asking me if I care, do you care?
No, I was just stating that. I
don't care about any of the baseball. Do you care? I just wanted to get baseball into the podcast.
Yeah, I know you, and I was going to say something about that too, because you can't go without getting baseball in it. But it's whatever.
I just want to talk about how the Red Sox won't pay their homegrown studs. That's all.
It's. I just enjoy it very much. So keep doing it, Red Sox Nation. Have fun with it.
Hey man, big weekend going on. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and
same to you,
your lady, and all that. Enjoy the festivities.
I'll be very happy when this is over. I have the spirit, but it's just all the planning and everything that goes into it is just overrated. Next year, I will definitely be on an island. So there you will have to find somebody, because I won't be here for Christmas next year. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's I wish the same to you and yours, and to all that are listening that celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. Wish you nothing but joy and love during this time. Embrace your loved ones. You don't know how long you have them here, so cherish that time with them. Some people wish that they can have their loved ones with them during this holiday that don't have the chance to do it, so don't take it for granted, for sure.
Beautifully said. I can't say anything better than that. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy New Year. We'll be back next week. But for Brandon, I am Sam. Episode 81, Chasing Points podcast in the books. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure you check us out on the social medias at Instagram at Chasing Points podcast. Till next week, ho ho ho.
Make sure you DM me with all your Coquito plugs. I will take all the Coquito, and I appreciate all of you so much. Coquito. Thank you.